Yeah. And well, let's start. So we're going to talk about onboarding and our own processes of onboarding. Cory, you work with and for yourself. So yours are more aligned with you. And then I've got my company. So I've got two companies and teams associated with it. So it's interesting that I've grown the company from being me to a team, and I know how to do everything. And that's the problem because I know how to do everything. And then sometimes there's an IP gap with things that I unconsciously know in my brain, but the team doesn't. So, there's so many ways you can go about this. And when I was earlier on running my business, I'm like, I don't need to create SOPs for this. Who am I creating SOPs for? It's for me. I know what I'm doing. Like, why am I wasting time when I could just spend 20 minutes just doing the work rather than 2 hours writing all the stuff up and doing looms? But now I've hit that critical point with the team where I'm like, look, we're doing everything properly, but it's taking time because we're going back and forth with the client. If I was speaking to the client, I would be like, I need A, B, C, D, and D. And the team member might only be asking A, B, and C. And then we miss out on D. And then we ask for D. And then it takes a week to get D. And then you've kicked out your live date by, a week at least. So how do we start this conversation, mate? How do we start? Where do you reckon we start? Because we're just having a conversation here.
I love how it's your topic, but you're asking me how to do it.
It's a conversation.
So I think I want to start with how this is complicated. Any good consultant's always going to say it depends, and this is very relevant here because every agency is going to have different size clients, different. When I say size, I mean account spend, sales velocity of the clients, etc. And some agencies are willing to take on more complicated data sets and objectives than others. So there is going to be a lot of variance here. We're not going to say at the end of this call you're going to have the 3-step template that's going to apply to every client because we would be terrible at what we did if we did that, right? So that's not the goal. It's really to talk through what are some of the complications, what are ways that we like to overcome some of those complications, right? So offhand, Michael, because this is very top of mind for you, what are some of the complications that you guys usually run into when trying to template this onboarding process?
Yeah, beautiful. Wonderful question. And this definitely comes from the high level or meta approach, not meta Facebook, but meta thinking, is you've just mentioned that it depends. So it can't be templated, but then at the same time, it kind of can, but it can only be templated based on your own business and your own systems. As in, you can't go, Cory, what's your list? Michael, what's your list? Okay, I'm going to put them together and that's our list. How we've done this is we've just gone, I've sat down, thought about all the years of my experience, and I'm just noting down all the parts, the processes, and I've recorded looms. But then more importantly, telling the clients or internal team, like, where do we have the most pain points? And as soon as we've had a pain point on the onboarding or managing a client, I put that in there because I'm like, this isn't about creating a checklist from hypotheticals. It's creating a checklist from past and current experience going, this has been a gap in our last onboarding, in our second last onboarding, in our third last onboarding. Where was the gap? Okay, here, here, and here. We've got to put that in the process because if you've had a gap with it once, the probability of it happening again is probably quite high because the nature of our industry and business is, whilst every business is unique, there are common themes. And as advertising gets more complex and more is required, you might have maybe 5 years ago needed like 5 things: Google Ads, Google Analytics access, and their budget, and like a few keywords, like really simple. Now you might need backend access, software access, GTM's access, like all these other access points that even years ago have advanced. So if you're relying too much on a checklist that someone else has given, firstly, it will be too bloated. So you'll be asking for stuff that fatigues the client and yourself to ask for that you don't need. And then secondly, you'll start like, when you get an incomplete brief from the client, you'll go, yeah, that's fine, rather than having the conviction to go, I need this, this, and this by this date, and they don't give it to you, and you go, no, we need that. Because I think the best place is self-reflection and go, where are our current pain points? And then putting that into the checklist or your process. So when you say like, how do we go about it? It's really started from pain. Where have been the gaps? Where have things been taking? It should have taken a day that took a month. Where has it taken Sorry, go on.
Oh, go ahead. No, please continue.
That's it, mate. That's it. You cut me off at a perfect time.
Follow-ups.
Mate, the AI bot in my brain just like ended its sequence, so it needs another prompt.
Processing.
Processing.
It's thinking.
Slow lag.